everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight, the weekly horror show in which we discuss horror films from the past and the present here on YouTube. We are part of the Male Fuzz podcast network, and with me, as per usual, is Tim, Joseph, and Kevin. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
How was that for a quick intro? Right, let's get Kevin. Last week, we talked about Insidious Chapters 1 and 2, obviously in time for the new film coming out, Insidious 3, which we all went to the theatre and seen over the weekend at some point.
Yep. Today
even. I'm glad you all said yes. It would have been really awkward if one of you said no. Like, really awkward. Because they would be like, okay, I guess we'll dodge spoilers for that person for the next, 20 minutes, half an hour. Alright, so you all heard what we thought last week. If you haven't, you can go and check that out. This will be full spoilers for Insidious Chapter 3 if you've not seen it yet. If you want the spoiler-free review of this, or at least my thoughts on it, go and listen to 1.21 Gigawatts. I did a spoiler-free review on that. So, anyway, guys, Insidious Chapter 3 is a prequel. It even opens with a title card saying set a few years before the, I can't remember the family's name, but the family that was in the first two, set a few years before that, and we were immediately introduced to Elise in her house alone, which really set the tone differently, I think, from the first two, because we got to see her just doing stuff randomly rather than being called in to save the day halfway through the film, which I thought was a nice change of pace, although it did open with the traditional very loud music sting as the title comes on screen. They didn't give up that, at least, so that was nice. So we're introduced to a young teenage girl who is about to leave high school. Her mother died about a year before of cancer, and she's going for an audition for a acting school early in the film. That's sort of the plot of the opening act. She lives with her dad, and the next door neighbour, teenage boy, has a giant crush on her or some shit, which kind of went nowhere. When I seen the trailer, I thought that he would play a big part of the movie, and he's like almost not in it at all.
No, they dropped all side characters that were not family or paranormal investigators.
Yeah, which I don't mind, actually. It's fine, but it's just kind of weird. Like, I expected him to play a role, or at least be fodder to be killed at some point because things go wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's so it is a prequel, and that it feels more like a prequel later on in the film when it starts introducing the investigators for the first time. But so let's forget all those elements. Let's forget anything that ties it to the first two. What do we think of the girl and the thing that's haunting her? I guess is where we'll start with this. Okay, since no one is eager to jump in, I will say that I did really like the villain in this. I thought it was another interesting, unique choice. He's got that whole gas mask, or not gas mask, but the
breathing mask.
The breathing mask, yeah. And he's got the really loud breathing, and he had like different. It looked different from any of the villains in the previous films, which I thought was nice, and it sort of adds to that. Something that the first film started where there was all these different ghosts or different demons or whatever.
It's a little more focused.
Yeah, and they're all unique, but this one focused on the one. We
took a few side to the...
Yeah, we got some glimpses of other ones, which we'll talk about when we get to Elise and her sort of inclusion in the film. But yeah, so they focused on him, and I thought that was pretty neat. I thought he was a unique villain. He had a sort of nice dark look to him. As far as the girl and her dad, I thought they were fine. Like, they didn't stick out to me as being great characters or bad characters. It was kind of something we talked about in the first episode, or last week's episode, when we said that none of the characters are really full-fledged characters, but they all serve their purpose well enough. Yeah. I think
I do feel like you do get a little... I think the fact that it kind of focused on this one girl and her dad mostly, I feel like we got a little bit more of a backstory and kind of... I'd still agree that it's not like we totally knew him, but I did feel like a little more attached to him than the characters in the other movie, just for the fact of knowing their backstory a little bit more. Still not like huge characterization moments or anything, but I thought it was a little better than the characterization of the other two.
Yeah, there was the basic sort of, very simple, the mum died of cancer a year before, so the dad obviously feels quite protective or whatever, and they're both sort of lost because they've both had this big loss in their life, so it does set it gives it a setting. The other thing that I thought, speaking of characters that sort of get forgotten, I really thought the cat lady neighbour was going to play into it in a much bigger way at the end.
she dies. It's just
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, she dies, but after she died, and because we spent time.
There's that one moment with Eloise where she was able to figure out to look in the diary,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like
and that's it.
because we spend that time like introducing to her and her husband, and then the dad and the husband character have these little exchanges, and they're sort of friendly. You know, I expected that this would play into something at some point, and it
The
didn't.
psychic would be able to use her a little
Yeah.
more. She heard the man couldn't breathe in the room at one night.
And again, it's not really a complaint per se. Like, I don't think it necessarily detracts from the film, but at the same time, I'm like, that's weird. We could have just not had them.
yeah.
Characters were dropped throughout the film.
I almost bet there's some type of or some deleted scenes or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Like because
or
yeah,
able to be used in later entries.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe. All right, so what I want to talk about next actually is just the general sort of scares, the use of jump scares, how they were filmed, how they were handled. Because I think something that's really interesting to notice with this one is that this was Lee Wannell's directorial debut. He wrote the first two films. He wrote this one as well, and now he's graduated to director. So I personally feel like the loss of James Wan is somewhat noticeable. Some of the jump scares didn't work as well, and they did kind of feel like just jump scares to me, like sort of cheap jump scares. But
There is one moment I did like more than any of the jump scares. One moment that genuinely gave me chills. It was when she's walking possessed and you're hearing the bones break in her legs.
oh yeah, no, I actually I think there were several moments that worked quite well. What I was going to say was Lee Wannell. I think I will congratulate him because for his first attempt at directing, I think he actually does quite a decent job. I think there's a lot of good moments. The scares that worked for me more than the jump scares with the sudden loud noise were the ones that were quiet, when you just notice someone in the
Yeah.
background. And he did that a few times, and that worked quite well.
There's
The man
one,
with. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Actually, one scene in particular, I really liked when she gets thrown off the bed, and then like she's looking under the table and under her bed, and she sees like the feet go, and it closes the curtain. Then you see the door behind her, and it closes the door, and then you see like her laptop's the only thing that's emitting light in the room, and then it slowly goes to close the laptop. I thought that was a really good. Effective creepy scene.
That was actually what I was going to say too.
Yeah, yeah, that was super. But then, and Joseph, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but then it was super creepy and subtle. But then they kind of ruin it by like pushing that all aside just to have a scene where the monster then like comes in out of nowhere, and then there's the big music and the scream.
Are you talking
Like-
about when he jumps out of the window and it comes right back out?
Well, it's like he closes all the window and the door and stuff, and then she's just in the
Yeah.
room, lying in the dark. But then like you just see his like face kind of comes down, like almost on top of her, and then there's like the big
The father comes and saves her.
yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff like that where like there's a lot of scenes that could have been really good if they just stuck with it.
Extended.
Well, if they just keep it as being like a weird, creepy, subtle scene, instead it feels like everything, like even the quiet stuff, would always then have to be accented with a jump scare at the end.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I agree with that. Yeah. I think the loud bits didn't work for me, but the quiet bits worked most of the time on their own anyway. That it didn't bother me so
Yeah.
much. And like Joseph said, the one that really creeped me out was the walking and breaking the cast and all that. You could hear all the bones crunching. That was like legit proper creepy.
There was there was a part where I think she was going to the acting school, and she was backstage and she was getting ready, and I think it's one of the first times. I think it might be that one. It's either one of the first times or the first time that you see it, and your eyes sort of just like scan the screen for a bit, and you see it in the background, and it's just waving. And I think it's really effective. It creeped me out a bit. So
Then they used it again for the car moment.
yeah, it sort of loses its potency for that part. But
See the thing with the car though, like for me the film was kind of like turning its wheel. Not that it was bad or it was doing anything wrong, but because in the trailer I knew she was in a wheelchair, I just thought I was like, okay, when's she going to get in an accident so the plot can start? Like, you know, like because I know it's going to happen, I'm just waiting for it.
I still went in blind. I did not watch the trailer until I
Oh, wow.
was in theater. I
Oh, that's pretty cool. I think in that respect it would have helped me. But the thing is, I go and see so many movies that I must have seen the trailer for this at least like 5 or 6 times in the theater. So it's not like I can avoid that really, unless I just shut my eyes and go la 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 la. Which I actually had to do once because I went to see something, and I was watching Breaking Bad. I won't spoil anything, but I was watching Breaking Bad at the time, and I was catching up. And the trailer came on for the season 4 DVD in the theater, and I was on season 3. And I was like, and I just had to shut my eyes and like, I'm not looking, I'm not listening. So yeah.
One other scene that actually really stood out to me too that I really liked is when she's in the living room and she gets scared. She puts the blanket over her head and then she stays under there for a while and then she takes it off and all of a sudden she's like upstairs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought that was another really good one. And it's kind of interesting too, like having the main character be wheelchair bound.
Yeah, that was interesting because that puts her in an even more vulnerable position than most people are because she can't just run away.
Yeah, like in that scene in particular, like she would really want to just like go downstairs, but she can, and then all of a sudden the ghost is behind her and just starts wheeling her into his room, and yeah, this was pretty creepy.
Have you seen Curse of Chucky? It's the same thing.
I have seen Curse of Chucky.
It's been a while.
Actually, that was another one of those quiet things that I really liked. I think she's at the elevator at one point, and it just like it cuts to the front of her, and you can just see him standing behind her, like there before he starts pushing her, and that worked really well for me.
Yeah,
that was good.
And I think there's just a very subtle thing he does where like his finger just kind of like slowly like grazes her arm before he
grabs the chair and starts pushing her.
Yeah. Actually, I really liked the use of space in this film. I liked that it was just one apartment, the hallway, and then the apartment above them.
Actually, yeah, I thought that was really cool too because it's like one of those things where she was never really that alone. Like there's always like that was a big apartment. There's probably people next door and then other rooms and stuff. So like you think you'd be kind of safe like with so many people around you, but it's like still there's no like escaping or people coming for help really.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Elise then. Let's talk about her inclusion in this film and sort of her story here. I think first thing I'll say is that I really like that they acknowledge not the events of the first because they've not happened yet, but they reference the fact that she helped him as a child.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of geeked out a little bit when she went into the further, and the Parker was his name, the cross-dressing demon or ghost or whatever.
Yeah.
She met him at the house.
Yeah. And he or she, I don't know why I say he or she. As far as Elise is concerned in this film, it's still a she. So, but when she shows up, and the idea is that she's after her because she essentially cock-blocked him from getting to Josh. It was a really interesting idea to me. I thought it was. I laughed how they ultimately deal with it, but at the same time I was like, can she really just like fight her off and then say "come for me, bitch"? Like, does that really work in the context of everything we've seen in these movies? I don't know if it does, but it was a good laugh. Like, I laughed. But again,
that was a cool little badass moment. Yeah.
It was.
It was needed.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that it sort of focused more on her. And we got more of her backstory, and I like that we follow her into the further this time on her own. She's the one doing all this badassery stuff, and she's there to help, and she's driven to help even though she's at great risk. I think, interestingly though, that now if you remember how the second one ended, and it ended with a cliffhanger. Now obviously there's no resolution to that cliffhanger here because this is a prequel. Right, but given that Lee Manuel's written all 3 of them, he must kind of have an idea where he's going, because this one also ends with a cliffhanger. It's kind of a double cliffhanger, actually. You might not have even noticed it. See, obviously it ends with the Darth Maul looking dude jumping in behind her, but before
lipstick demon.
Yeah.
See, before it turns to that shot, when she's looking at the sort of just the dark closet space. Did you see the face?
I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a face about 3 feet off the ground. It's sort of really pale and just sort of like emotionless. And I'm wondering if that's the same thing she sees at the end of the second one.
Oh.
And that's actually like building forward.
I'm sorry. Maybe I was mistaken, but I thought that was the Parker character.
It didn't look like that. To
No,
me.
he's never been
No?
that low. He's never been that low to the ground.
Okay. I just thought that because just like I just because I was like the one specific person that was kind of after her, I kind of figured they're
Nah,
trying to be like, oh,
Because every time we've seen him in
Yeah.
these like in the further or whatever, he's always had the veil and
Yeah.
everything else.
This was
Okay.
a full pale face, fully
okay.
shown, and just kind of barely in the shadow, almost like it was hulling down or that height.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's like he's got plans for the fourth one, and that's what she again sees at the end of the second one. Now that
Is
she's-
there a fourth one definitely confirmed?
I don't think so, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it
Yeah.
feels like
It did decently this weekend. It didn't open at first, but it did decent.
it's doing better than the first one did, but not as good as the second one. So I think when it's
It'll
all said
continue.
and done, we'll probably get a fourth one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the least stuff then in this one?
I've actually I liked it, and I wasn't really expecting to like it at first because I was afraid it was gonna be like, trying a little too hard to kind of like hammer stuff in and like make references to the first two. But I thought it was handled pretty well. I like that she kind of had like a little bit of an obstacle to overcome. Like, she had this thing where she's like, no, like I can't use my gifts anymore. Like I'm gonna die, and then she gets to that point where she's like, fuck it, like, and
I'll die someday.
Yeah, and she had like a little bit of a character arc that I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nice
But
to
also her husband.
yeah, the husband. I mean that
Yeah.
scene where something's pretend. Oh, I guess it's. The
I
Green
know
Man.
my husband wouldn't ask me of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Slice the face.
Like the face,
But that
yeah.
was a really dark moment because I mean I figured
Yeah.
it was probably just the demon or whatever pretending to be the husband, but when he's like,
Yeah.
I want you to commit suicide too, so we can be together.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
do it.
fucking-
You
that's-
have to do it.
Yeah, that's fucking dark. Yeah, that was cool. I think we all seem to have enjoyed this for the most part. I think.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to the one element that maybe some people didn't enjoy, although I actually did, and that was the investigator dudes. First of all, one of them's rocking a Casper jacket, and the other one's
Another mohawk.
the other one's got a mohawk, and he's rocking a Masters of the Universe T-shirt starring Dolph Lundgren. So that was interesting, but I kind of like that they're just kind of like frauds, and this is how them
Yeah.
and Ellie's meet. That was kind of nice, and how they don't know what they're doing properly, and I think it was a little bit jarring in the first movie when they first popped up because they are the comic relief, and it doesn't necessarily feel like it's meant to be there. But see, after already having two of these, I'm at the point now where I expect it so much that I kind of welcome it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel-
know. I start. Go ahead.
Oh no,
Go
I
on.
was just gonna say like I feel like it wasn't like overdone too much. Like
Yeah.
the first movie, it feels almost like kind of almost jarring when they show up, and like maybe like you said, now it's because we expect it, but it feels like maybe a little more subdued.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. They're a lot more tolerable in this one. I felt I didn't like them in the first two at all. They were, I didn't think they were needed or anything. It's just, but I think I like them or more tolerated them a lot more in this one, and sort of glad they were there because they added a. I mean, the film itself had a lot of humor in it. I mean, more humor than the first two anyway, because you have the relationship with the girl and her dad, and then you have like the son, and then you have of course with the moment where come at me, and then but I don't know, it's just I like them a lot more in this one than I did in the previous two.
Especially like the technical guy. Most of his humor was just the badging on specs.
Yeah,
How he couldn't help out. How he had no role.
Actually, because I really liked how they were. Because in the first movie, the other guy who does all the writing is like writing stuff really quickly. So I like the little reference to that where he's really slow in this one because he's not done it yet.
Yeah.
So it's like, Alicia's like saying stuff as she's like going into the chant and all that to go into the further, and he's like, "We are here," and he's like sort of saying it out loud as he's going like really slowly. So no, I think this was a solid third entry, to be honest. I think. I was a little bit worried before I went in, and the first act was maybe a little bit slow because we're sort of mimicking the structure of the first movie a little bit. Because the second one just sort of hit the ground running because we were so deep in shit because it carried straight on from the first movie. Whereas this one, it went back to basics a little bit, and we had a bit build up. We had, things are starting to happen. Creepy things are happening. One character believes there's a ghost, the dad doesn't, and So it mirrored the structure a little bit of the first one, but it felt like a relatively standalone story. I mean, yeah, we got the references to the other ones through Elise and that, but it felt like a standalone sort of haunting romp that used the mythology of the Father with Elise and the Ghost Hunters, who I'm hoping we'll see more of. I mean, that's essentially their franchise in a lot of ways. Like,
Yeah.
if we get a fourth one, it'll be Elise as a ghost and the two Ghost Hunters like hunting whatever it is they're hunting. So yeah.
My one complaint with that though was I mean, I did think it was kind of cheesy, like a little bit towards the end when they were kind of like making references to like, you know, like, well, hey, maybe we should go into business together and like, but you guys got to dress nicer and stuff. It's like, yeah.
And they're actually basically walking off out of the sunset as they're saying it as
well.
That was a little bit on the nose, but
yeah.
I don't know.
It's not like it's not that bad, but it was like a little bit of like, come on. But,
yeah.
I don't
know. So does anyone else have any other complaints? Anything they think didn't work?
One thing I do want to mention, it doesn't actually have to do with the movie, but two things that made my experience a little more creepier. The theater I went to has a really big, heavy door that leads in and out of the theater. So every time someone would like go to the bathroom, there would just be like this door squeak that would just like then like go boom, like with a really heavy slam. So it'd be like sometimes it'd be like a quiet moment, and then like you don't know someone
jump
goes
scare.
Yeah, like just like everyone like would just look in the theater like, oh, what the fuck, like.
Do you know what jump scare actually got me more than it should have? Because I seen it coming, but it's when they look out the window. And nothing. Dad looks out the window, nothing's there.
Yeah.
And then she looks at the window, and he's just there, and it's a loud noise. Like I seen it coming, but it still made me shit myself. Like
my wife almost broke my finger at that moment. She grabbed it all the way back.
Actually, one a little bit of a minor complaint too, I guess I have is I kind of was expecting to get some type of maybe backstory on the ghost, like I kept expecting to find out like, you know, like he
died, what his motives were.
Yeah, like I don't know, maybe he like killed someone when he was alive, or was like trying to lure people into his apartment or something like that, you know.
Well, I mean, they kind of hint at it because they say that he used to kill people in the building or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact line, but it was something.
I thought that was more when he was a ghost though as well, because she said his voice was always in her head, and she tried to kill herself to get away from it, and it just brought her to him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That he like as a ghost, he was
still
like,
haunting them.
People.
Maybe.
We just got a backstory of her ghost.
Yeah.
Actually, no, wait, hon. She says something like, because she describes him as being something different. It's not someone who wants to move on and can't. It's someone who likes being in the dark and likes tormenting
And
people.
bringing others too.
Yeah.
I took it as the woman being rained on was another victim of.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, though. I do agree that it is a bit of a disappointment because the first two delve so much into revealing things as it goes on about who's after whoever who. And, you know, in the first one, you learn about Josh having the backstory and the woman going after him. And then in the second one, you find out all about the woman who turns out to be a guy and his backstory. So I agree. That's probably the if I got one proper disappointment, it's probably that the backstory of the villain isn't as thought out. But I thought otherwise he was fine. Like I didn't think there was anything wrong with him.
How'd you like how
like
easy it was to defeat him? Pull off the mask.
Really simple, but
he can't breathe. Pull off the thing that's helping him breathe.
Yeah,
it works, I guess. I guess try not to don't logically approach these films too much. I think is the thing to say to that. All right. Well, if anyone else has anything else to say, no. Okay, let's get some ratings then. What will we rate out of this week? We will. How many severed fingers out of 10 would you give Insidious 3? And just I think remind everyone what you give the first two as well as we're going. So Tim.
I think for the first, I gave the first one an 8 and the second one like a 7. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Just a quick caveat. I tend to get really excited about things like right after I see them. So this rating might change after a couple of months or when it comes out on like DVD and I watch it again. But as of right now, I'm like really, really, really digging this movie. Maybe even more than the first two.
Ooh.
So I would actually, I'd go ahead and give it an 8 because I think it's about on par with the first one, if not a little better. But again, that might change after I think about it a little more, see it again.
Interesting. Kevin?
I gave the first one an 8. I gave the second one a 6.5, I think. Gotta give this one a 7. I think it was overall it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the second one, but not as much as the first one. I just think there were certain elements of it which we discussed that weren't up to scratch. But overall, it was a fun, and it was there were parts in it where it was scary. So 7 out of 7 severed fingers out of 10.
All right, Joseph.
I almost lost a finger in this. I'll start with my wife. My wife, she wanted me to tell Peter that he owes us $10 for that waste of money. That was her opinion. As for me, I gave the first Insidious a 7 out of 10. I gave the second one a 5. I'm a little harsher than all the rest of you, it seems. For this one, I did enjoy it a little more than the second chapter because though 9% of the scares were jump scares, I did enjoy the focus of the story, the overall plot of who the ghost was, and Eloise becoming the main franchise character. I also like the pacing a lot more than the second one. The second one's pacing set me off at times. I would probably give this one a 6 severed fingers out of 10, though. Good first directorial feature. Hopefully, there were moments where I saw he had potential that he just didn't fully deliver on, and I'm hoping for future films to him to mature in that aspect.
Cool. I gave the first one an 8, and I gave the second one a 7.5. I can't remember what we rated it of last week, but it was half of something.
It was corpses.
Oh, noises happening. This one, I think this was a very fun standalone, and I think I referred to this on Facebook as a romp. And that's to me, that's what it feels. It feels like a romp set in the same universe with a consistent tone and voice to the first two, 'cause it's the same writer. And overall, I was quite happy with it. I would probably say it's my least favourite of the three, but not by much. Really, not by much at all. So first one I gave an 8, second one I gave a 7.5. I would give this one a 7. So, for me, it's been relatively consistent as a series. I'm really looking forward to whatever the fourth one might be. If we can at least maintain this quality, I'm going to be quite a happy camper. If we get up to Friday the 13th numbers, and he keeps this quality going, then you know what, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like even the ones that like all of them together, I really like all of them. Like one that I like more than the other, it's like kind of like you said, it's not by much. Like it's not like there's a huge gap between films. But yeah, if they definitely keep up at this pace, I'm pretty much in for this series at this point.
Alright, cool.
I'd probably say that this whole franchise as a whole has been better than almost all the horror films that I've been getting the trailers before them. This last one, I just got the trailer for The Visit and Sinister 2.
Sinister 2 might not be terrible. I mean, because sometimes I think trailers can be...
Yeah, Sinister 2, I'm watched. The Visit, I won't touch.
The Visit, I wouldn't recommend. I am somewhat interested in The Gallows, which I got the trailer for.
Oh, yeah. See that.
I saw it on YouTube. It wasn't before any films.
I'm mildly interested in that, and there's some other things coming out this year, but we're not here to speculate about that. So this brings an end to Screams After Midnight, episode 3. I believe this is Insidious Chapter 3. We'll be back next week with a different horror film, probably from the past, and I will probably be picking something that I know these guys are all going to hate, because we've been far too positive so far.
I have not.
Well, get ready to bleed. That's all I'm going to say. So thanks for watching, guys. On YouTube, please subscribe, rate, and comment, and all that jazz. It helps us out a lot. Check out mailedfuzz.org for various other podcasts and stuff. And the first Omnibus Edition podcast of this will be up probably after next week's episode. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.